Be'er Sheva. Amazing. We're live on Facebook. Everyone is welcome to go into our Facebook page, Venatata for all the Hebrew speakers. And you're welcome to share this live video so other people can see it. You're also all welcome to share the Zoom link to help other people have the opportunity to take part in this fascinating conversation. Perfect. We just passed the 100 people in the room. It's very happy. I'm very happy. Kalkul, Pardeschana, Nili, Sasa, Southern France, Normandy. Hey, Ad. Yes, and Valencia, Spain. Wow, we're having a really international evening. I'm so happy. Perfect. You're all welcome. Like I said, you can all go into our Facebook page, all the new joiners, and share the live Facebook stream on our page. It's on Venatata. So this is more for our Israeli Facebook folks. And we're already streaming there. So you can all share. We'll start in really a few more minutes. There we go. I just shared it myself. Yes, Tel Aviv, Givat Nili, Ramot HaShavim, Revadim, Ma'ale Gilboa, Kalkul. So many people, I'm so happy. So many people here that are interested in regenerating our ecosystems and understanding how to and to bring nature back to life around us. We have a really, really special evening today, tonight, and a very, very special guest. Whoever just joined now, you can all write where you're from, where you're coming from, if you're from Israel or other places. And invite other friends if you want to. Haifa, Gadera, Avichai. Wow, wow, wow. So many interesting places. The Les Plateau. Aviv Resnick, you're actually in the Les Plateau. You're the only one from Kansas. Hi, Aviatar from Tkoa. Amazing. City movement. I think we're ready to start. What I'm going to do now, oh yeah, if we can send the link here. Yeah, I have it here. Look, this is the Zoom link. I put it on in the chat. You can all copy paste it and send it to friends. We have a lot more space in the room right now if you want. And we're going to start with a small presentation that I'm going to have I'll show it in a moment. So I think we'll move to speaker view. That's me and John here. And I'm going to share presentation. Oh. Let's see. Perfect. Can everyone see this? Yes? Perfect. So as I said, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Forest City Saloon. This is our 7th saloon. We've had amazing guests, and tonight we have one of my personal long hero for many years. Been following John's work for for quite a time right now already, although I'm pretty young. But I really admire this fascinating work. And we're gonna speak today about ecosystem regeneration. But first of all, I want to talk a little about our initiative here in Israel, because one of our goals in this evening, in this conversation, is to see how we can create this work, initiate this work inspired by what John's been doing all around the world with a lot of his partners, and see how we can create this kind of regeneration, this kind of thriving culture here in the Middle East. So this is our team Venatata. We're a team of a big and growing group of activists and entrepreneurs working together to regenerate our ecosystem and culture together. And a few updates from the things that are happening right now. On the top right, it's all in Hebrew. So John, you probably won't understand the letters, but on the upper right is our campaign to plant 100,000 trees inside cities around Israel. It's a crazy campaign that's promoting people to engage with nature again and again. And at the same time, I'm going to send you a link soon. You can all donate to this campaign we're doing now. We'll send the link now in chat and also later on as the evening continues. On the bottom right corner, we have, and I'm going to talk about this a little more, but we've created over 70 gardens inside rehabilitation centers around the country, healing, thriving, abundant gardens, helping people heal in their times of crisis in life. And we just had our magazine out last week, our Forest City magazine. We put it out once a month with a lot of fascinating information about the Forest City movements. And our schedule for tonight is, for now, I'm going to talk for another 10 minutes, telling about also the Forest City movement and a little prologue or a knowledge basis about John's work and regenerative work for ecosystems around the world. And then John is going to show us a movie for 10 minutes about his life's work. And then me and John are going to have a conversation for around 40 minutes. And then we'll have time for your questions and to have an open conversation with all of this community around us. So as the conversation happens, you can write questions you have in the chat, and our host Amo will help us collect the questions, and we'll have them. And also, if you're watching us from Facebook, you can write the questions there, and we're going to collect them from there as well. So I just want to take us 3.5 years back. We had an idea. It was at the times of all the big climate marches. We put out a post on our Facebook page, and we said for every share for this post, we're going to plant a tree in the cities of Israel. Over 4,000 people shared this post, and we started a movement. And we threw it back to the crowd. And in a few weeks, we were able to plant thousands of trees in the city by people creating gardens, people meeting together, collaborating together. And we felt that something was starting to grow here. We had an amazing series, like around 30, 40 tree planting events all around the country and in many different scales, really working with the land, with families, with the community. And we set out on a project. We called it Project 100, to create 100 therapeutic gardens in 100 rehabilitation centers, psychiatric institutions, orphanages, geriatric institutions, women's shelters. These are the places that are the most wounded with trauma in our culture. And these are the places we decided to come and start planting trees, starting to regenerate the ecosystem from the most wounded places in our culture. And then COVID started, and our whole program went a little into chaos. And we started putting out lectures, the Forest City lectures, and thousands of people joined us. Thousands of people sat down for really long form, deep conversations and learning about ecology, about ecosystems, about urban ecosystems, about green technologies, about mindsets and new paradigms of how can we be a forest city culture? How can we be a forest culture in the world that, as we can see all around us, a lot of things are falling apart. And then at the height of the Corona crisis and plague, we put out a Head Start, a fundraiser campaign, and we raised close to 500,000 shekels to build these 100 gardens. It was amazing. And we saw that our community was coming together. And during the Corona crisis and after it, we've been going into these institutions and going around our cities and planting amazing, amazing community forests all around us. And then we went on another big fundraiser. And this time we started to spark the Forest City movement in Israel. And we gathered over 1,000 people that are giving a monthly donation, and they're getting seed packets in the mail. So people are hands-on turning their houses and their neighborhoods into green areas, growing food, heirloom seeds all around them. And we found that creating the forest city, the forest culture, it comes from within. It comes from every person choosing to ask this question: how do I make the forest city? And how do I take part in this actively? And we have really thousands of people using these seeds, sprouting these seeds, growing the gardens around their houses and on their roofs and in their neighborhoods and on the streets. And it's just an amazing, inspiring thing. And I'm going to invite you now. You're all welcome to join. I'll add a link here you're all welcome to be part of this movement in many different ways. So we're adding a link here in a moment in the chat. You can all open it in a tab and check it after we finish our talk. Now, I want to open with a little bit of like an entree on what we're going to talk about, me and John, today. Because one of our big questions, okay, and it's crazy to even think, look at this amazing forest, this amazing jungle, this beautiful, abundant, magnificent miracle of life around us, okay? Now, how does this beautiful system become this? How does an ecosystem, a thriving ecosystem, break down and turn into barren land? Now, this is something we've all seen, okay? We've seen land crack around us. We've seen barren land. We've seen land that is not covered by plants. Either it's been sprayed with chemicals or it's just been torn off or burned, okay? We've seen it all around the world. We see it all around our neighborhoods, okay? Now, over a third of Earth's topsoil is at this state. We've degraded over a third of the skin of this giant organism we're living on. Okay, it's crazy that this is happening. Now, these are a few slides that I took from John's presentation that I saw a while ago. And the way this happens, okay, the combination of the things that take soil, take an ecosystem and tear it down is a combination between cutting down a forest, deforestation, industrial agriculture with a lot of tilling and turning of the soil, and overgrazing with animal livestock agriculture. And then the result of this is the loss of biodiversity. Okay, it changes the climate around us. It destroys the economy around us because it hurts the ability of people to grow food, to use the soil in an abundant manner. And it heats up everything because it all becomes dry and we're losing our soil, the climate gets a lot hotter, drier, and warmer. And we can see this a lot around the Middle Eastern area. And what's amazing is, and that's what we're going to see a few pictures in a moment of how this actually works, and we'll see a movie in a moment that John is going to show us, but there are ways to reverse this process. We have the ability to take part and be a partner with the ecosystem, to be an abundant catalysator. We can be a part of making this abundance. And we started by creating erosion control, by stopping the flow of sand and soil and water to make it sink in, to restore the soil, to replant the plants and slowly bring it back into an intact ecosystem. And then we can once again see sustainable livelihoods. We can actually, and that's what John is going to show us, tell us more about, but we can be involved in influencing and engineering the climate around us from a small scale. And we can all see it, right? When we plant a good big tree and it grows and grows, we can feel the climate around the tree different. Okay, it changes things. And when you have a lot of trees, that has an accumulative effect. It actually does work. And till the year 1995, this is how the Les Plateau looked. Okay, this is the area that John is gonna tell us more about. And in a huge restoration project, millions of Chinese citizens that took part in this took part in the restoration of this area. It's a little pixelated, this picture, but here's John, and I'm about to present him and give him the microphone and let him present his own story in a moment. But John has taken an amazing part in restoring the Les Plateau, in restoring ecosystems around the world, and in teaching the knowledge that he brought from the Les Plateau, that many of us have seen the movie, and now we'll see another few scenes from it. But one of the amazing projects, and that's how we connected to each other a few months ago, was around a global project called the Ecosystem Restoration Camps. And like slowly, Venatata, our initiative in Israel, is slowly creating a bond and being part of this, of being an ecosystem restoration camp. One of our first big major projects in Israel right now is our connection to the first whole municipality, and being a partner with a municipality called Jisr Azarka. It's an Arab town in the center of Israel that's chosen to become the first forest city with us. And we're starting a very big ecosystem restoration project there. We'll be talking about Sinai. John will tell us a lot about his ideas and about the agreement that was just signed with the Egyptian government. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm adding a link here so you can donate right now or at the end of our conversation, and we'll also send it to you by mail. This is really your opportunity to take part in what we're doing here in Israel. And I'm stopping my share screen, John, so you can present yourself and share yours. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Well, my goodness. Thank you for that amazing introduction. Yes, I'm no longer young, but here I am. And I'm going to show you a short film, and then I'm going to come back and speak over it a little bit. So it's part of it is me, and part of it is recorded. So here you go, and I'll be back with you in a moment.
Hello, I'm John Liu, and I'm really happy to have this opportunity to speak with you today remotely. I'm also very grateful to the Common Land Foundation and the Mustard Seed Trust that make it possible for me to do this work. I have been a professional witness and a student of transformational change in politics, economics, culture, and ecology over my entire adult life. In the early 1990s, after 15 years as an international television producer and cameraman, the World Bank asked me to document the restoration of the Lus Plateau in the upper and middle reaches of the Yellow River in northwest China. There it became clear that it is possible to restore large-scale degraded ecosystems. For the past 3 decades, I've been documenting, studying, communicating about, and stimulating the restoration of degraded ecosystems around the world. In 2009, I met the visionary ecologist Willem Verrede, then the country director for the International Union for the Conservation of Nature in the Netherlands. Willem helped to produce a film I made called Hope in a Changing Climate that was broadcast on the BBC one day before the Copenhagen COP15. We also collaborated on 2 films with the Dutch public television network VPRO called Green Gold, Regreening the Desert, and Green Gold, Regreening the Planet. Willem eventually left the IUCN to define the 4 returns methodology of privately invested restoration and to create the Common Land Foundation. I've been the ecosystem ambassador for the Common Land Foundation since it was founded. The Common Land Foundation, together with local partners, now have over 2 million hectares in 4 core landscapes in the Netherlands, Spain, South Africa, and Australia. In 2016, I began to have recurring dreams about people going camping and restoring the earth. I wrote an essay called Earth Restoration Peace Camps that was published in Permaculture magazine. After the essay was published, tens of thousands of people began to discuss it on the internet, declaring that this was what they wanted, and the ecosystem restoration camps movement was born. When 1,000 people pledged to share 10 euros per month, or 120 euros per year, the first foundation was formed in the Netherlands. In 2017, the first camp was established in Spain, connected to land participating in the Common Land and Alvalal project there. In the second year, there were 2 camps. In the third year, there were 21 camps. In the fourth year, 37 camps. And by the end of 2020, there were 50 camps and communities. Currently, there are more than 55 camps and communities in 6 continents. There are urban camps, camps working on coastal restoration. The first camp in the United States was created in Paradise, California, in response to the disastrous fire that killed 85 people and destroyed the city of Paradise. There are camps in deserts, in grasslands, in all sorts of ecosystems. The concept of direct action by local communities is the low-hanging fruit and must be supported because it's the most efficient and the lowest cost with the greatest impact. The only way we can mitigate and adapt to climate change is to physically restore the Earth's natural systems. The only way to ensure the survival of biodiversity is to physically protect and propagate the most endangered species. We cannot do this with centralized control. We have to do this with consciousness so that the central intention of human civilization becomes to restore all degraded land on the earth. The people who are most available to do this are also the people who are the most vulnerable. We need to empower them and to employ them to restore fertile soils, to restore the hydrological function, reforest the once great forest systems, to transform monoculture industrial agricultural lands to massively diverse regenerative agriculture systems, and to ensure that those who have been wronged over long historical time can regain sovereignty over their own lives and enjoy equal rights. When we understand that we must address food insecurity and historical injustice, together with protecting biodiversity, combating desertification and climate change, then we have reached the paradigm shift in human civilization that can ensure that human civilization can survive at this time. We have free will. We don't have to be a weapon of mass extinction. We can choose. By empowering the most vulnerable, we can stop worrying about feeding the hungry and see them as equals and even as heroes, leading humanity to a sustainable future.
Well, so I noticed that there's a massive difference between nature and agriculture. And as I've gotten older, I'm now 70, and philosophy and the purpose of life and intention are really on my mind almost, well, all the time. And I'm very fortunate to have been able to go all over the world. So I've been to more than 90 countries, and I have seen both dysfunctional ecosystem and fully functional ecosystem. And I have studied this extensively. And after a while, I found that individual scholarship is not that important. What's more important is collective intelligence. So I've been recommending that we all collaborate together in collaborative or collaborative inquiry for collective intelligence. Now, what you see in nature, of course, is quite astonishing. It's self-organizing and self-governing, and it's generative. It's eternal, essentially. And this is a cheetah nursing in the Masai Mara, and I put it in so that you like me. It's like a cat video on the internet. But what we see in human infrastructure and urban development and architecture is generally a lot more geometrical and a lot less symbiotic. And we need to really consider this. So we need to consider, where does the energy that exists in life, where does our life force come from? What is it? And this is what it's like if you take the door off a helicopter and fly over waterfalls in Chiapas in Mexico. And you don't need to go to adventure parks if you do this. You can just do this. And I put it there so that we can look at the strength and the power of Earth systems, and so that we can begin to think about, what is it that makes natural systems able to grow without external inputs? What is the cycle of life? Where does it come from? And over time, I've considered that we are not individuals. We're symbiotic species. We're a symbiotic species. We're in symbiotic relationship with all life. And we actually carry the DNA from photosynthetic material and fungi and all sorts of other, all life basically has co-evolved. And it's also struck me that there's maybe not a difference between what's written in the sacred texts and the thoughts about evolution. It's just a question of time, because clearly it's miraculous what we see in the self-organized co-being of all these different life forms. And we have systems which emerge from this: the hydrological cycle, the soil fertility, the amazing biodiversity, and the different types of adaptations to different systems. And all this philosophy has made me really interesting. I recently, during COVID, spent 5 months living in a tent on an active volcano.
These are the main things that I'm thinking about. I hope we can have a long conversation, and I hope that we can all work together to do this and transform human civilization. Let's actually go to the primary systems and repair the primary systems. You can find my writings here. If anybody wants to reach out to me, the organizers can give you my contact information, but my email is johndliu@icloud.com if you want to write to me. And I look forward to more conversation. Thanks.
I hope that was visible, and I hope it didn't jump back and forth to the messy desktop. But if it did, sorry.
No, not at all. That was the film. The film went through the whole way. It was a little pixelated, but I think we'll send another record. We'll send the original film in the email that follows up for everyone.
Well, I'll transfer it to you, and you can edit it in with the recording that you've made, so that should fix your long-term issue. But
perfect.
There you go. That's me. Hello, everybody.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really felt like my first question was like bubbling up in me in the last few minutes of the film, and I was kind of wondering, like, we're all, you know, small single people, like kind of, I kind of feel like in the giant proportion of our civilization, I kind of feel like this single-celled organism. And I was kind of wondering if you know, like, at what point did you start feeling that you were thinking in the terms of a civilization? Like, because most of the time, you know, we're planting our tree in our garden, or thinking about maybe our city, our country. But I know that, like, I've been thinking for a few years now, I've been thinking on a civilizational scale. And I was wondering when.
Are you still there?
Yeah, did you hear my question?
Not exactly, no. You're asking, when did I start thinking about civilization?
Yeah, like on that scale. Like, when did you start thinking about, like, how do I regenerate a civilization?
Well, I think part of it for me is that I've had a very strange life. So I went around the world on ships when I was 13 and 14 years old. So I circumvented the planet at 13 and 14. And that really sort of set the tone for my life. After I did that, I kind of felt like, well, I don't need to stay in Bloomington, Indiana at the time. Now my mother and sister are living in Kansas. But it just seemed to me that the world was one, and I couldn't see where the political, I couldn't really understand the political divisions. The political divisions were artificial and theoretical, whereas the earth is real. And so the earth is one earth. And I think that your question is often that people are thinking about, well, who am I? Or which tribe do I belong to, or what, you know, this sort of thing. But I kind of got into in studying ecology, it just became clear that there's nothing living in isolation, that it doesn't exist in isolation. We don't exist as individuals. We don't exist as cultures exactly. We do if we focus on them. But that for instance, the Indian tradition in India, not American, Native Americans, but in India, they would think of that as focusing on an illusion, because it is very compelling, but it's very finite. It's sort of ephemeral, and it doesn't really. And when I started to study ecology, then I kind of realized, oh, I'm looking through history. And then I thought, oh, I'm not only looking through history, I'm looking through evolutionary time. And then I looked a little further, and I was looking back at Earth time. And then I was standing at the edge of the formation of the Earth, looking at cosmic time over the entire universe. And then I started to think about, what is life? What is exactly happening? And I realized that the energy that flows throughout the universe flows through us. And that is life. That's what we're participating in. And I began to question things. And recently I heard someone else describe this as are we human beings who are seeking to have a spiritual experience, or are we spiritual beings who are for a short while experiencing life as humans? And I think it's the latter, because really, when you get to this concept of infinity or of life itself, or of time, or of symbiosis, I mean, all of these more profound aspects make you question the limitedness of what we're seeing if we think about ourselves as individuals. So I guess it happened for me a long time ago, but it has become more and more obvious that that's true, and more understandable. I might have confused me earlier, but now it's like, okay, well, I'm a bit more comfortable with those kind of thoughts.
I feel like one of the things that fascinated me about the model of thought and implementation of the Les Plateau restoration inside the ecosystems that they were restoring. In Israel, in the past 100 years, over 100 million trees have been planted, because the Turkish Empire, around 150 years ago, they cut down the whole forest, the ancient oak forests that were in the Middle East. And then when the Jews came around here, they started planting a lot of trees. But one of the things that we've been seeing in the last few decades is that less and less inside nature, inside the forests. And I was kind of wondering if this is something that you've been seeing around the world, and how promote the Les Plateau paradigm, like way of restoration. Like, how do you get people to live inside the ecosystem?
Oh, less people. I couldn't, there was a small glitch and I couldn't quite understand it. I guess you're asking about why are there less people in the forest?
Yeah, why do you think this is happening in humanity? Like, people are living less and less in nature and kind of like putting nature there, and humans in kind of these like human reservations. And
yeah,
like,
I think it's socialization. And I mean, I think we're bombarded now by political propaganda, by advertising, by really thought control in many ways. And we're being socialized to accept the way things are. But if we contemplate the way things are, or the human history, we have a lot of data on this, then we find out that there's tremendous amounts of inequity, and tremendous amounts of violence, and tremendous amounts of focus on domination. That many of the human systems which have emerged are there to dominate other people or to dominate nature. And, I'm not sure, it doesn't really matter which empire you're talking about, all the empires. And in a sense, so the idea that you have domination, or that you can control or dominate other species or other people, or the earth itself, is really kind of insane because we're all going to die. We're living here for, as individuals, we're a moment, flash in the moment. And it seems to me that we're great in the sense that we're stardust and we're experiencing this life, but we become like obsessive, or maybe it's hubris. Homer or Voltaire or others are telling us about these kinds of deceits and suffering that it causes. And the victims are not simply the victims, the perpetrators are also the victim. So it's like everybody's a victim in that scenario. And it seems like there's paths, and the paths diverge. And one path is not kind. One path is not generous. One path is not forgiving. One path is not grateful. And another path is just beautiful. It's surrounded by unbelievable abundance and beauty. But we turn away from that path for a belief in the material things that we produce and think that they're better and more valuable than life itself. And I mean, and then ultimately, if you follow that path, it will not bring you satisfaction. And at the end of your life, you're gonna like, oh, I missed it. You know, I should have taken the other path, you know, but I didn't. I went that way. So, you know, and it's like, it's also that we're essentially flawed. We're not perfect in any way. So we often choose, we have free will, so we can choose. So we often choose incorrectly. And when we do that, you know, then there's consequences for ourselves and for others. And I think it's sort of better if we kind of find joy and forgiveness and kindness and empathy. And maybe we should moderate empathy with compassion so that we don't really just like absorb all the pain and suffering, but we actually like see the pain and suffering instead of ignoring it. We have to look at it. We have to go, well, I understand that. That is terrible suffering and that's horrible. So let's not have that. Let's do what we need to change that. And when we do that, we are actually changing human civilization away from following this path of materialism to a path of saying, well, let's heal, let's have peace, let's heal people, let's take care and share and engage and work with everyone who's suffering. And when we do that, all these millions and maybe billions of people who are now trapped in a kind of indentured servitude where they're workers or they're consumers. We're workers and consumers. I mean, if you tell me that I'm a worker and a consumer, you're basically taking away humanity. And I don't think this is a very good idea. And then you have all these people who are refugees, who are wandering the earth with nothing, with no homes. They've lost their land. What happened? Well, we know what happened because we have the historical records of what happened. So we saw that domination was on the minds of the people who took power, and then the other people failed. And now you have some people who are benefiting from what took place in the past, but it's not really their fault. I mean, they didn't do it, but they are benefiting and they do appreciate their privileges and they don't want to give up their privileges. But their privilege becomes a responsibility if they really truly understand it. And knowledge of how ecological systems work is a responsibility because the future, the quality of life for all life in the future depends on what we understand and what we choose and what we do now. And then when we see that the degraded landscapes reflect the consciousness of the earlier civilizations that were practicing domination and materialism, then we go, oh, you know, I don't think we're going to, you know, who was it, Einstein or somebody said, you know, the definition of insanity is to expect to have a different result from the same things that happen. You know, you're going to have to face these things as individuals. There will be a judgment day, you know, and you know, each of us must face this, and each of us must understand, and then that determines what our life is. Then we choose what we're going to do with our lives. Are we going to chase material possessions? Or are we going to chase domination of other people or of the earth? Or are we going to become the, you know, just part of nature and spend our time appreciating and understanding the beauty that's all around us? That seems to me to be what I've been seeking and to some extent, occasionally finding.
I think like one of the most fascinating thing, the work you do, is that you are not like a lot of the ecological climate movement is one of the it can sell itself to our civilization is to be very, very pragmatic in the way it presents itself. It's trying to like, you know, showing what like the pros and the cons and showing, listen, it's a catastrophe. It's like, you're not settling, you're going all the way and you're saying this, and this is a spiritual thing. This goes to the root of our existence. It's like, this is something, and I really feel like what you're describing, we have like a spell over our culture that's making people kind of like into zombies. Like we're kind of enslaved to something that we don't really want. And like when the deeper truth is that for all kinds of solutions to save us, but like if you look down at your soil and see what your soil can provide, if you work correctly with it, or what your elders and your history can provide for you, then you're in the Garden of Eden again. But we're like kind of like fixed with looking up for something to save us.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody is living their lives and everybody is making choices every day. And I think there is definitely political propaganda and advertising and public relations and a type of mind control. And I think that the vision of Hollywood is zombies, is dystopic things, generally speaking. It's not like every film is about zombies, but there are a lot of zombies out there in that vision. And it also seems to pay. They make money. I can tell you that making films about poor people and soil does not make money, at least in my experience. Maybe there are others who are making money, but I'm not. And so the thing that you really need to consider is exactly what can I do as an individual. And then also to realize that as an individual, well, I get to choose what I do. And so for me, that's what I've done. But then I realized that if we want to restore, the goal, the great work of our time is to restore all the greatest lands on the earth. If we do this, we ensure the future of our children and future generations of life of all kinds. But if we don't do this, then because we have too much data now. I think in the past, ignorance, well, you know, that's a good excuse, really. I mean, what are you going to do if you don't know? I think that the people who created industrial agriculture were not trying to destroy the earth systems. They were trying to feed people where they thought they couldn't through organic, natural means. But when they did this, they created toxicity. They altered the soil fertility, and they disrupted the hydrological and climate regulation, the weather regulation. So there are kind of biblical impacts to that. You will reap the whirlwind. So what does that mean? That means that if you take down the vegetation, you're going to have solar radiation directly hitting the surface of the earth. And if you do that, you're going to create thermic drafts, which push the moisture into the higher atmosphere. And it's no longer available to nurture plant life. And it's no longer there you don't have shade, it's going to change everything. And ultimately it creates not only thermic drafts, wind speed, wind direction, it creates vortex activity. And you literally reap the whirlwind. So we're seeing that now in the big fires. You're having fire tornadoes. Well, that was not a thing when I was growing up. Fire tornadoes were not like ravaging the earth, but now they're in California and they're in Portugal and they're in Australia. So, you know, it's a thing. And hurricanes, you can see 3 hurricanes in a single giant forces across the Atlantic, all in one satellite image. That was not a thing until like a few years ago. You could not see it. Now we're melting the cryosphere all over the place. So we have enough scientific knowledge and data to say, oh, this is serious. This is real serious. But the data, you have to be careful with this, because what you said about a lot of people who are sort of environmentalists, or I don't know, the climate activists or something, some of them are creating such a negative scenario or narrative that it's paralyzes people to inactivity. They say, I can't deal with that level of you know, the complexity and difficulty. It's just too much. So they don't do that. Somebody wants me to talk about the best way to restore the Mediterranean ecosystem. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this could actually really, because we, like, in the context of what we just spoke about, like there are many strategies to like approach. If people here are conscious of this. They're conscious of the degrading ecosystems. They're conscious about like the pains and illnesses of our civilization. And I'm kind of wondering, like, what would be, if you could try maybe to explain it also from the ecological perspective of how we restore it, and also from maybe kind of like a cultural or a strategic approach to even like with the narrative, like what narrative should we hold when we approach Earth restoration?
Okay, well, I'm not sure if I'm reading that right. Lete, Marcus, and everyone, I would say that as an individual, we probably can't restore the Mediterranean ecosystem or North Africa, or, you know, but I think collectively, humanity, if we choose to restore all degraded lands on the earth, then we cannot fail. It's not possible. We're clever enough, we know enough, we have the science, we have the ability. And also, but we're facing some serious issues. Now, you're gonna think that I'm supposed to tell you about, I don't know, making key line infiltration of water, and yes, do that, and eye holes to biocompacting and putting in biological brush packing, all this stuff. Of course you can do that. But the real thing we need to do is have a shared intention, have a shared understanding and a shared intention. So if we all understand that the central intention of human civilization needs to be restoration of ecosystems, and we all put our minds to that. And not only that, but we say, like, well, what about all those refugees? What about all these people who we think of maybe as enemies, or we think of them as victims, or, you know, useless or something? What if their minds and their energy and their creativity were addressed to this? What would happen? And I think then we're actually there in the place where we could actually restore everything, because they have the same needs. And they are our brothers and sisters in reality. Because, I mean, the DNA evidence says we're all related to one another. And not only are we related to one another, we're related to all life. So basically, the Native American concept that we're all relatives of the birds and the animals and the plants is true. we carry their DNA. It's inside our DNA. So we are relatives to these other beings, and we're in symbiotic relationship with them. So, and I mean, what is we? Who are we? You know, so humans are going to do everything? No, it's going to be plants who do it. You know, once you understand that it's not just human beings, we do it because we said we're going to do it. It happens because we're in collaboration, we're in co-evolution and co-creation with all life since the beginning of time. So that level of consciousness is what's needed. There's quite a lot. I see that Dory R is asking about the Sinai project.
We have a whole list of questions piled up. That the moment I say like, let's start the Q&A, then I can start bringing up the questions one after another.
Okay.
Which is cool. I think like we did. I feel like we've went already a few steps, and now could be actually a good time. So Amor, would you like to, like, you can send me privately the conversations, the questions, and also some of the people would like to go up and ask the questions themselves, which is lovely. But so we could start with Dory, like you said. So if you can, Dory's asking if you can tell us a little about the project in Sinai. And I can say already that we'll send you, there's a beautiful video. I'll send it in the email after this conversation.
Is that the one in Arabic or?
No, the one where you go with the gong, with the Tibetan.
Really? I don't know which one you're talking about. Oh, the one in the Global Earth Repair Summit, maybe?
Yeah, it's a beautiful talk.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's several years ago. And they have, the Egyptian government signed an MOU about this with the weather makers. If you're looking for this, there's also a very good dialogue with the chief designer. So about 6 years ago, about the same time as the ecosystem restoration camp were gestating, I was approached by a Dutch engineer. His name is Ties van der Hoven from Matthias. And so he sent me he burst into the Common Land Foundation, and because they had held him out, and he couldn't contain himself, and he burst in and explained that he was having dreams, and was looking at the restoration of the Sinai Peninsula. And it was quite astonishing. And when I heard this, I realized that like this is the scale that we need to work at. But we were going to have to do that together. We are not going to be able to do this as individuals or corporations or even governments. And the fact is, as he continued to explain this, and now I've spent 6 years in the research, getting together with others, is to understand that there are acupuncture points on the earth. So there are places like if you have a backache, and you're feeling bad, and you go to a great masseuse or a osteopath, and they just say, "Oh, wait, you've got a problem here," and it's, "Whoa, thank you, and now I'm much better." That is the same thing on the earth. So there are these places. Generally speaking, I would say that they're connected to continental divides, so that they're involved in massive changes of the moisture system, or like there are these atmospheric rivers, and there are the currents in the ocean. There are all these really massive physical outcomes from long-term historical things. And like we want to know how to go grocery shopping, or take kids to school or something, or go to work. Well, these long-term trends may be a bit more bigger than that or something. And, maybe it's like harder for us to grasp what's going on there. But if we try to say, okay, I'm not going to be overwhelmed by this level of difficulty. I'm just going to look at it and see if I can understand any of it. And then you kind of see, well, like, okay, it's if then, there are cause and effect, yes, there are deep sea currents which are flowing and they're altering the evaporation rates and the heat. And, you can go to northern areas in Europe and they're somehow warmer than places which are further south. How is it, so when you start to look at this, then you go, okay, now what was it historically like in North Africa or the Middle East? And what was the Sahara? Was the Sahara always this desert? Was the Lus Plateau always a desert? And the answer is absolutely not. The Lus Plateau had gigantic trees of thousands of years old and huge, and they were enormous. And then they cut them down to build their civilization. And when they cut them down, they altered the physics. And when they altered the physics, they changed the moisture and the temperature and the wind speed, wind direction, and gradually they denuded and desiccated the region. When they did that, they had to leave because you couldn't really live there anymore, especially if you wanted to have a palace and rule over other people. You weren't going to do that from this kind of place. And the same is true for the Sahara. So it was the breadbasket for early civilizations. All of them were in there. And all of agriculture is not the same as nature. So when people began to do agriculture, they were altering nature and they were saying, well, we can do it better, but they actually didn't quite have enough. A little knowledge is a dangerous thing, I would say. So like they could say, okay, we could spread these seeds. Now we have a monoculture and look, we get more of the seed that we want. And those other ones, we didn't know what they're for. We don't want it anyway. So let's get rid of them and go for this one. And so that's what they did. And now we have agriculture 12,000 years later, which is doing essentially the same thing, but with gigantic equipment and chemicals and, all this other stuff. So to imagine that you're going to get a different result by doing the same thing is really not very wise. And to look at what's happening and analyze it, well, you're compacting the soils, you're creating poisonous, like we would think of nitrogen as a nutrient, but if you over nitrogenate something, you create a strata of nitrogen, which is not available as a nutrient. It's a poison. Or you can turn everything and make it into salt, destroy everything. And you certainly alter the direct, the solar radiation directly hitting the ground and increase the temperature and massively increase the evaporation rates and reduce the respiration levels and reduce the amount of shade coming from the canopy, which is probably one of the most important aspects of what's going on with vegetation, because it not only regulates the temperature, but also the circulation of the moisture near the earth. It took 3.8 billion years for life systems to create such a canopy to hold the moisture near the earth system. And we're like ignorantly thinking our cars and our airplanes and our computers are more important, our buildings, and we're cutting it all down and raising the surface temperature. Then, of course, it has this effect. And if we want to have the opposite effect, we're going to have to regulate our own behavior and change what we believe and what we do. So if we were to simplify our lifestyles and think like, well, we're not just, we're going to have coolness. We're going to be cool. And maybe that's what we should be. That's the movement we should create. Be cool. So if we're going to be cool, let's live in smaller dwellings. Let's share with everyone. Let's make sure that everybody is fed and everybody has a place to sleep and everybody has meaningful work. And that doesn't mean let's have more people, like your task is to outcompete everybody else. So you go and get in your computer and in your cubicle and type away and sell more and more stuff. And that will all be fine. Well, you'll be great. You'll have a big house and, what? Nobody needs this now because it's destroying the earth. More container loads of garbage traveling around the world, being thrown away after being played with for a few weeks, is not really going to help. We're going to have another ethic. And I think that's what we need to do, is practice that. So restoration of the Sinai or any place else in the world needs to happen by lifestyle change and by like mass embrace of equality and peace and human rights for everyone. We have 8 billion people. That's never happened before. And, we're going to go to 9 billion or 10 billion unless we're going to have mass murder. So, mass murder doesn't sound like a very good thing. So let's have peace. We're going to have peace. So if we're not saying that, we're not talking about that, then we're not really understanding what's happening, because the war's here. The war is here and there and there and there. And so going and picking up guns and going to participate in the war is not going to end the war.
Not at all.
It's going to spread the war.
Well, I think we have another question here. I'm going to bring up now. We have 2 people now that I want to bring up. First, Dori, and then we'll have Shira ask us a question. She has a question for you. Hey, Dori, from Spain, right?
Yes, I live in Spain. Hi, John. How are you?
I'm all right.
I wanted to ask specifically about the project in Sinai, because I've read your article when you published it, and I was really amazed by the scope of it and the possibilities that it holds if the project really comes to fruition and the restoration is successful. So my question is about basically, where is the project at the moment? Because I heard your latest update about signing an agreement with the Egyptian government. And if people want to get involved, is there a way to follow the progress of the project, and how, if there are any volunteer opportunities with this, or maybe there will be in the future?
I just put a link into the chat to everybody. Mm-hmm. Go there and click on that, and you will get a presentation which was made by the designer Pies van der Hoven at the Global Earth Repair Summit. And there is also a film in Arabic with English subtitles, which was sort of used to share the narrative with the Egyptian government, and it apparently worked because they signed an MOU on the first day of the COP. And it has been touted by CC and other leaders, and the partner for going forward is the Suez Canal Authority. So it's a pretty powerful entity in Egypt, and also the military is involved, because they can't not be involved since it's in the Sinai. And we also have one development which is called the Eco Oasis. Dr. John Pod has designed something which is I would call it an incubator. It's sort of like a educational system, because it's a constructed ecosystem. So it's inside a dome, a geodesic dome, And so you can control it if you have water, and you can control the water, and you can control the temperature, and then you just massively grow life. You have plenty of solar radiation, and so you have water, you have temperature control, and you maintain the humidity within the dome, and you can grow soils. We're rapidly able to grow halophytes in the existing sediments that are being removed from the lake. And we're able to grow diatoms and algae at very high speed. So and we were able to use passive solar desalination in order to have fresh water.
So John, if someone wants to be directly involved in the project, is there a way right now? Is there
Yes, they could join the weather makers. So go to weathermaker. Let me see. We'll get that.
Weathermakers.com?
No, it's weathermakers. I think.
I guess you could all Google weathermakers, and maybe Dori could put on a link when she finds it because she's really quick.
I've got it. Here it is. I've got it.
Perfect. Perfect. So I hope that answered. Fast. Yeah, and also you'll exactly, and we'll send
and it. You can write to me, and we can have this conversation offline too.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dori. We're gonna bring up Shira right now. Shira is one of the youth leaders of the movement in Israel, working with us right now on the 100,000 trees in the cities around the country. And she has a question for us as well.
Hi, I'm not the same Shira.
Different Shira. Good.
But if you don't mind.
John loves feedback.
Yes, feedback is good for all of us, but only the good one with growth. I have a question, first of all, and I have 3 questions, and maybe you can answer it in one answer. So that's my favorite kind of question. So first of all, what was the process of the restoration? That means, how did you start to just look at the area, and how did you plan such a big area?
Which restoration?
What was the difference between your vision and the actual success of the restoration there?
You're talking about China, or are you talking about China?
Yes, in China.
Okay. Well, so I was asked to document, so I didn't invent the restoration of the List Plateau. I was sent there by the World Bank to make a baseline study. Actually, they only hired me for 2 weeks, and I went there, and in 2 weeks I was just like, I'm quitting everything else. This is crazy, and I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. But that's what happened, and the thing was that the Chinese government had been observing that on the East Coast, in the industrial zones, they were making special economic zones, tax-free zones for manufacturing, and people were getting rich, and they had reduced the centralized control of the rural areas, and so the peasants were getting rich in fertile areas, and in the urban areas, the people were getting rich, and they were all buying washing machines and refrigerators and computers and so on. But in the List Plateau, they had these people who were just desperately poor and miserable. And because they didn't, like when we were, as journalists, were looking at it and said, well, this looks a lot like capitalism, what the Chinese are doing. But when the Chinese talked about it, they said, no, this is not capitalism. This is a socialist market economy. So they're using market mechanisms to incentivize people to do more work and be highly productive. And, you know, that can get out of control and become overwhelming consumerism if you're not careful. But anyway, the government said, well, we have people getting rich on the East Coast, and we have the peasants getting richer because we've stopped the centralization of that, and they're able to do whatever they want, and they're getting rich. So what about these people in this big area, which is the cradle of Chinese civilization, and was also super important for the revolution, because that's where Mao hid out with his army, and then from there took over the rest of the country. And it was like going to the Badlands or something, you know, where Che Guevara, something, Zapata, the Zapaty stuff. Anyway, so what happened for me, and what happened there, was that almost nobody believed. So there is another film called The Lessons of the Lust Plateau. I think you should try to find that. I can put the link in, but I'll put it here. If you look at this film, it was actually used to get the laws changed in Ethiopia back in the early 2000s. And also Rwanda and Ethiopia both changed their laws because of this, and started restoration programs, national restoration programs at that time. So nobody really actually believed you could totally transform the ecosystems, because the scale of it was too big and they just couldn't imagine it. But they had $500 million in revolving development loan from the World Bank. And they felt they had a responsibility to care for the most vulnerable people in the country. And they kind of had a deep feeling for the cradle of Chinese civilization, and a deep feeling for the origins of the Chinese Revolution, brought about the Renaissance, I guess you could call it, of the Chinese civilization, because it was in very bad shape in the early part of the 20th century. It was grotesque. You know, it's the basket case of it. So when they started, they realized that they didn't have any possibility of using modern management, because there was no one there who had that managed anything. And so they had to create a managerial mechanism. So they started from a national, and then went to regional and local offices. And these offices used kind of enterprise software, so that any intervention and any investment was linked to satellite maps and URLs of every watershed. It was basically a watershed rehabilitation project. And so every watershed was mapped by satellite and had direct URLs, and any investment that was made in any trickle, any little, the tiniest creek or gully or whatever it was had a URL. And then so they could recognize. And one of the things that the Chinese did was they always used pilot projects. So they'd make a pilot project and look at it for a year or two. And then if that worked anywhere, they would make it, like, okay, that's what we're going to do. And then they would spread it everywhere. And if they really deeply understood it, then it would really work well. And if they didn't understand it, then it wouldn't work very well. But the places where they did understand it worked well, so then they had to train the people who didn't get it. And so that happens best by peer training. Because if you take a bunch of brainiacs from Beijing and you send them out to the countryside, they don't easily communicate well with peasants. But if you get some early adopter peasants who totally understand it and get it, then after a very short time, they convince everybody and they're all doing it. And then after after the results were in, we realized, oh my gosh, if you revegetate these areas and you start infiltrating all the water instead of having it run off, then you reactivate the hydrological cycle. And so then you have like base flow instead of runoff. So now you've converted your, when you have rainfall, so like they didn't necessarily change the rainfall, they still had to be 400 or 350 or even 250 millimeters a year. And that mainly happened during monsoonal periods. But when they were infiltrating it, because there was vegetation and they had altered the landscape so it didn't flow away, then that would cause the growth in vegetation. And then they used monocultures of early pioneer species plants, and they got a lot of criticism for using non-native pioneer species, but they weren't doing it to have a big non-native, fast-growing monoculture. They were doing it to restore the soils and to create a canopy, which changed the temperature differentials. And gradually, they have two mechanisms for this. One, they could let natural succession return through the legacy genome reestablishing itself, or they could selectively grow their later succession plants in big nursery systems and then move large next succession level plants into place and just cut down some of the things, and that would all provide more biomass. So when you start to understand the amount of biomass and then the amount of necromass, so one of the things that happens when you have lost your vegetative cover is it doesn't die because it's not there. It doesn't respirate because it's not there. It doesn't die and accumulate in the soils. So you're actually killing your communities of microbes and fungal communities as well. So all of that started to come back. And by 10 years, it was just apparent that this was unbelievable change. And so the Chinese said, okay, that's enough. We have a pilot project. That's law. And so they said, the whole country, that's it. That's the law. You can't cut trees. You can't, free range goats and sheep, and you can't plant on the sides of hillsides. You have to have flat fields, and it can't be made flat. It has to be released to nature. And they planted millions and millions and millions, I don't know how many trees, but it's like 2.5 times the rest of the world combined. So it's quite
wow. Wow.
And so this huge amount of vegetation is changing the forest cover, and all over the country where they planted the early succession monocultures, you find like succession leading to like oak beech forests and that kind of thing. So it's pretty impressive. And then you see the water coming back, and of course there are places where people are sneaking around cutting trees, or there are people who are stupid and don't know what's going on, and then it doesn't work. But where and anybody who's making it now in the Communist Party would understand it works, and that's how they got their job, because in their system they have to go from like dealing with the sewage or something, and then if they succeed in dealing with the sewage, then they go up to the roads, and if they succeed in the roads, then they do the agricultural system. And if they succeed at that, then if you go up 7 or 8 times, you're in the Politburo.
Wow.
So they have a kind of weird meritocracy, I'd say. It's strange, and it's a little bit stifling, I would say. It's not really like self-expression exactly. I hope that answers your question.
I think that was an incredible and intricate answer. I think it gave us a little tour into the other side of the world that's like behind the veil. I think it's something we're not really exposed to. But now
let me add one more thing. The people themselves benefited so much from the restoration that they forgot all about any kind of, it wasn't about institution building or domination. It was about empowerment for the local people in the forest areas. And then, like, the people who understood it first, they started making nursery systems. They're like millionaires. Anybody who understood it and started building nursery systems, they became ridiculously wealthy in Chinese context. Yes.
Really? That's really fascinating. Good. I'm working on that right now, right here next to our house. We're starting our, I really feel that heirloom plants, like heirloom varieties, I have a feeling that they're like Bitcoin right now. I mean, I'm giving, like, everyone here, you should know they're becoming, in our area, they're becoming so rare. Certain fig varieties are so rare. They're practically, like, the moment, like, people understand how much they're worth, I don't even care. You know, they're just so
Let me tell you, my understanding of this is the highest value you can create right now is to create a botanical sanctuary.
Exactly.
So don't think of it as a single species or just for production or something like that. Think of it as going out and identifying. It's already been done. IUCN list and native species societies and so on, native plant societies. They have all this information. Go and take the top of the list, the most endangered, and start to
That's exactly what we're doing. In around 3 or 4 weeks, we're going to plant right next to, like, in 5 different places now in Israel, that we're going to have big tree planting events that we just bought from one of the most amazing, the Forest City Saloon. Before this one was with one of the most important plant finder and preservationists of heirloom varieties in Israel. And we just bought a very, very large amount of trees from him to create a few of these tree sanctuaries. Because right now his varieties are in 2 different places in Israel. That's it. They have no other copies. So we're now starting to replicate this into a few other places so they'll be safe. And I really feel these places are, like, for me, they're like these holy temples now. They're going to become these really beautiful sanctuaries. And now we're going to have our last question, I think, for this evening, because over here, it's pretty late already. So we're going to have now another Shira. Shira is one, like I said, one of our youth leaders, and she has a question for us.
Yes, sorry, my internet. So as we said, I'm Shira, and I wanted to ask, since I know you have like a big program, I wanted to ask, I know you love nature, I know I love nature, I know everyone here loves nature, but how do I get the inspiration inside of the people that I want? Because we want to create something to connect between the people in the cities to our nature and, like, to the trees. And I want them to know that those trees need to be treated after, like, a years after we plant a tree, and we want them to take care of it. And I wanted to ask, how do you put the inspiration and ask people to come? And it's kind of like facing their fears, because people are closing their eyes. They don't want to know that we're in a big problem with our trees, and they just want to keep living their life in the cities. Yeah.
Well, okay. I think that many of the other answers have aspects of what you need. So the concept of the botanical sanctuary, you probably have botanical gardens somewhere. You have the people who study endangered species, you have nursery systems. They may be focused mostly on production, but there may be, as you said, the last saloon keeper or saloon visitor speaker. So what I would highly recommend is you're going to have to get people to do something where they sit down and they breathe and they get into another more meditative state. And so you need to have a botanical sanctuary that is so beautiful, and the smells of phenols and the scents of the flowers and the leaves and the exudates coming from the plants are just intoxicating. And you have to make a place of meditation there and invite people slowly, gently. And you can't order people to do the right thing. You have to seduce them to do it. And so you bring them there and you feed them halva and lovely honey and pistachios, and there's quiet, soothing music and tremendous biodiversity and beauty, and they walk away stunned. You give them a little thing like, here's how you care for nature, and it's a poem, and it's a prayer, and it's a invitation for them to join with everyone else. But we all have to do this. And I think that's your best bet, because if you go beat them over the head and say, get out here and help, then probably they'll say, no, leave me alone. I know when I first started to learn these things, I wanted the people to listen to me, and I would shake them. I would bring them, you have to listen to me. This is the answer to climate change. This is the answer to everything. Why aren't you listening? And they say, get away, go away. Who are you? Leave me alone. So don't do that. Learn that you're going to have to sneak in there and make them you make them cry, make them weep for joy and the beauty of it and the kindness of it, and maybe you remind them that their children's future and the future of life on earth depends on their action.
That's beautiful. I kind of feel like I want to conclude this whole evening with like a moment of prayer for all of us together, because I feel like the feat that we're aiming at, this goal of the restoration of the whole land mass and oceans of this planet, it's such a big thing. It's so big that like the only way to do it is a quantum leap of faith. It's a really, really deep prayer, and like just like you said, it's this meditative state that we all need to go in and just really hope. We need to really hope and ask for everyone to fall in love again, to fall in love with this creation that we were born into. Because I really feel that I was raised up with a lot of fear. You know, we were raised with so much fear from nature, fear from the unknown, from the wild, from the forest. And I feel like there's this need to like open our hearts back and like, okay, take me world. Like I want the soil. It's not like not only when I'm buried, okay, like I can come for some, like you said, for some berries. And I really feel that one of like this temptation, like it's really fast. Like I've been a gardener for the last decade, and I know how fast you can create a beautiful garden. To just reorganize a few different things, like covering the soil and letting things sprout, and suddenly it's this magic. It's really like the ecosystem is magic. And I want to thank you so much, John, for meeting us here. I feel like we really need a lot of inspiration right now.
Well, I wish I could be of service, and I feel inadequate to the task, and yet I feel compelled to do my best. So I think that's probably all of us. We probably all feel that this is such a hard thing and so difficult. But in my experience, if you try and you work at it for some time, you will have an effect. And it depends on, you know, I'm not sure it's hope that we need as much as faith. And it's also understanding that we live in grace, that we are here. It's so abundant, it's so beautiful on the earth. And it's just humans acting as bumbling idiots who are crashing through. We don't have to do that. We can walk purposefully, we can walk gently, and we can walk with care.
And people are waiting for this. I really felt it. Like we convinced like one farmer here next to our city. It's like right on the border of the city here. One farmer, and he just said, "Okay, I want it. Like I'm gonna pay for all the water and stuff, and let's do this together. Like I'm gonna take care of these trees." And this is like 2 or 3 acres of land already. And then his neighbor was like, "Oh my God, I love this idea. I can't stand this monoculture anymore. I want something new." And then her neighbor wants to be part of this now. And we're getting like this giant plot of land that they're just giving it now because they're falling in love with this idea, because people are they're just tired of looking at these giant green plains of nothing. It's not food. They can't walk around and pick their fruits anymore. And I think people have this nostalgic yearning for it's something inside us, Garden of Eden. It's like this archetypal memory we have inside us. We want to walk around and eat like that and not just have to like work hard to get the money to buy it in the grocery store. We want to have this freedom, like to walk around and trust. And I feel
I think
that's like the good epidemic. I feel that we're spreading now.
I think, please contact me directly. Here's my email again. And if I were going to suggest a last thing, since you have hundreds of members, and I think it would be, I don't know if you have the same sort of situation where there are poor people or homeless people or hungry people around. But one of the things that I've been seeing and encouraging everywhere is central kitchens and creator spaces and cultural stages. So if you want to enlarge your kind of impact, you might think about creating a central kitchen. And in the central kitchen, you work with the farmers, and only with farmers who are growing organically or biodynamically or regeneratively, but certainly I don't think it matters so much if it's certified as much as you understand that they're not using chemicals and that they're not damaging the landscape. And then the food goes directly to the kitchens instead of goes into the commercial systems, as you said, with the grocery stores and so on. And then you feed all the people who, if there are people who are hungry, you say, well, come over here and we'll feed you. And then you find out, like, are you walking? Are you healthy? Are you sick? And if they're walking and healthy and not sick, you say, well, do you have any skills in kitchen preparation or cooking or food processing, and would you like to participate? And I got the feeling that some of them will go, well, yeah, I would love to do this, and there's a lot of people who are hungry and are in need, and I would like to help. And so get everybody who wants to do this, and put together a central kitchen. And at the same time, make a creative space so that you can build a kitchen and use existing restaurant equipment from, recycled or upcycled from failed businesses or something. Go out and get the older equipment and it's still useful and get it together. And in the creator space, have artists and craftsmen and scientists and teachers who are retired and they don't have much to do. And they've been playing tennis and fishing or something, and they can come and that's their place to care for, and they can teach anybody who wants to come in. And you can upcycle and recycle and build artistic furniture that it becomes heirlooms and art that pass from generation to generation. You don't need as much junk floating around the world in container ships or ending up in the trash heap. And then make cultural stages so you can play music and you can have theater and you can have movies every night for everybody who wants to come. And don't make it just for poor people. Make sure the mayor shows up and that everybody comes down there, because it's the place to be, because it's cool. It's the place where the cool people go. And that it's based on health and that's a prayer. That's a prayer that's better than like we bow our heads and we say, oh, I really hope we could do the right thing. It's a prayer to go down and build the central kitchens and build the creator spaces and build the stages and have music and theater and movies and move your conversation there. So then you're having the conversation, but it's not about you and your thing. It's about like, here we are. We're at the cool place, where everybody is cool down here. And everybody's eating and everybody's sharing and everybody's working hard for the best future we can have. And we're having a big party. You can have a party every night after dinner. Can you imagine a party? And you don't have to go to every party. It can be it's a movable feast. You can have Ernest Hemingway come. You could have theater and have great actors come and recite the great literature, all kinds of things. The children, and everybody needs a stage. You can have unknown musical talent come play.
I feel that's one of the things I really love about our movement here in Israel, is that it's really a lot about doing. Like it's this, like the people here, like we're people that, like we wake up in the morning and we're creating, just like you said, we wake up and we're creating these solutions. Like the people here are part of these kitchens, they're part of these food forests, they're part of these rehabilitation projects. And I think what's really nice about the Forest City Saloon, like that it started like around a year ago, is that it's our moment to meet each other and get inspired. And then like tomorrow, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go back to Aviv Resnick just wrote here, inspire, don't conspire. So, and I think that's it. We're wrapping it up for tonight. So thank you so much, John. And I really hope we're gonna find a way also to bring you to Israel and start a big project here, the moment we can. And I hope to come to Sinai when the work starts there and take part with it. We're actually living really close there. So
well, I think a good idea would be to actually build the saloon. I'm here in Kansas, so you don't have to build it. You could maybe go to one of the institutions that you're assisting, and make it there. So
exactly. That's the idea.
And then you can also
this is actually the last episode of the Forest City Saloon in this format, and now it's going to turn into Forest City Adventures. And from now on, we're going out of the Zoom zone and we're going to go to places exactly like that. Next year, we're going to have 12 episodes of every time we're going to visit a different project, regeneration project sit there and have a conversation there and look at the project and learn about it.
But you should also do it so that people who are not there can see it. So you do
Exactly.
it as a hybrid.
Exactly. It's going to be also like also live and also recorded, and it's good. We're trying to make it very like go somehow into mainstream media. That's what we're working on. So thank you so much, John. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming here. The Forest City Saloon salutes you all. Let's have a great Tu B'Shvat. That's our tree planting holiday. We're all working hard towards that. We're going to plant thousands and thousands of trees together and create these sanctuaries. And I think that's the idea, creating ecosystems. So have a great night, everyone, and a great day to you. And thank you so much.
Keep me informed. I want to follow your progress, and I'd love to come. I've never been to Israel, but I've looked across. I could have hopped across the Jordan from Jordan, but I didn't. Because I thought I would probably.
We're going to make sure this happens. We'll try to do it as soon as we can. And I think either this year or next year, we're going to fly you over here and create a big project together.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes. Thank you so much, John.
Bye-bye.
Laila Tov.